Alright, so it looks like Paul Reed, aka B-Ball Paul, might be gone. Now, according to Woj and Shams, earlier today he signed an offer sheet with the Utah Jazz worth around $24 million over 3 years. You know, it's a bit of a sad situation, mainly because I understand at this point, if they were to match Paul Reed's contract, they'd incur around $14 million of luxury tax penalties. So maybe they don't want to do that. And the Sixers in the past have always talked about not being too close to that threshold, having flexibility, hence why they trade certain guys or cut certain guys. But in this instance, I just don't like what's going on. Like, you know what? Yeah, cool. A lot of fans didn't like George Niang, and for example, Daryl might have thought, you know what, George Niang was nice, kind of unplayable in the playoffs. We don't mind losing him. We don't mind losing Jaden McDaniels. But one thing we need to remember, George was our best catch and shoot three-point shooter. There were certain games where George Niang single-handedly would help us go on a run, hitting some big threes. In the regular season, I remember that game against the Clippers, we were down by 30 points. George hit like 5 straight threes, for example. So George Niang has value. If you're going to let him walk, fine. But where's the replacement? Mo Bamba can hit the three, but he's not going to replace the role George Niang had off the bench hitting threes. No. Then Jalen McDaniels, he wasn't used properly by Doc, whatever. You want to let him go, cool. Maybe you can see a guy like Paul Reed could fill that role as a power forward, being a high energy guy that can play both sides of the floor. But now if you're letting Paul Reed walk, what's the point? There's not really many people left in the free agency market, so what are you honestly trying to do? Look, I understand the whole financial issues and the financial situation, hence why you don't want to bring back Paul Reed, but if you knew it was going to be in the situation, there are certain moves you could have done in free agency to prevent this from happening or lessen the blow, but they haven't done that. So what is the direction? Cool, you want to save $14 million in luxury tax, but could that cost you Joel Embiid if he potentially asks out? Now, I'm not telling you Paul Reed's the difference between Joel asking out, staying in Philly, because I genuinely believe Joel wants to win here. And realistically, I love Paul Reed, but is he like an elite talent? No. But that's not the point. He could play an integral part of this team. He has great energy, and we already know his skill set as a rebounder. Someone like Nick Nurse could have made the most of that. But it looks like that's going to be going to waste because Daryl can still match the offer, but do I believe he's going to do that? No. Now, one thing I don't get is when you feel like, okay, cool, we were that close to being in the conference finals, we could have got over the hump against Miami, we're one piece away. Maybe they thought that piece was the coach. Maybe they thought that piece was the coach and another player, so they've got Nick Nurse, that's one step. But you can't get complacent. When teams like Boston are trying to get better, whether you think they did or not, I don't really care, but they're actively making moves to get better. Teams in the Eastern Conference are trying to make moves to get better. You can't stagnate because that's how you get left behind. And not only have we stagnated, we've got worse. Now, I'm hearing stuff like this Montrezl Harrell signing was to appease James Harden. If that was the case, Daryl, I can't lie, then I'm really starting to question how much you actually care about this team, or are you just trying to salvage your relationship with James? Because being honest, yeah, Trez was unplayable. I love Trez. He might do well in another team, but in this system, with his skill set, it just doesn't work. So why is Trez coming back? He literally declined his player option. I'm guessing he thought he'd get more money elsewhere. He's gone. Why are you bringing him back? I don't understand that. And if your rationale for letting Paul Reed go is that you've got Mo Bamba and Montrezl Harrell, you've got it all wrong. I feel like Mo can be an intriguing piece, but come on now. Trez ain't doing nothing. Trez is not even a center. He's a power forward. But we need a stretch forward, not a Montrezl Harrell. So what's the point? Like, what are you honestly trying to do? And there's been rumours that James Harden basically gave the ultimatum that if Doc Rivers is there, he's definitely not coming back. Do I feel like canning Doc Rivers was the right decision? Yes. But if James Harden is influencing you and making you fire a coach against your own will, making you bring back certain guys you don't want on the roster, what are you doing as a GM? This is a business. This is not a friendship thing. Because you're risking your job and the security of this franchise for the next 10, 15 years, potentially. So I'm not really too irked up about losing Paul Reed. I love him as a player and I'd love him on this team. But what's irking me up is that you can't let a guy like him go and not have a single replacement lined up. We're literally getting worse day by day. It doesn't make any sense. The Pat Bev signing, cool. But is Pat Bev moving the needle? No. As in, there's guys on this roster who genuinely had a lot of talent, but weren't utilised by the coach, hence why they've gone in free agency or were cut. Isaiah Joe, one of the better three-point shooters in the NBA, showed great signs of shot creator. Charles Bassey, good backup center. I wouldn't have been too pressed if we kept Paul Reed, but he's gone. Well, I think he's gone because I don't think they'll match the offer for Paul Reed, but whatever. Then Shake Milton, when the starters were out, he averaged 20 and 5. Doc Rivers didn't use him. He went to Minnesota for a decent-sized contract. He's going to have a big role there. So you're losing guys who under another coach could have had a beneficial role and you're not replacing them. I don't understand. Like, what are you honestly trying to do? Are you trying to just get worse? Like, what's the point? But I just don't understand the direction we're going in, because what's weird is that I remember when we first got J-Mac, Daryl said he's a guy who believes he has star potential. He has all the intangibles to be a great player in this league, a guy that they got on the cheap, a guy they think they can be in Philly for a long period of time, but you don't match $4 million. Like, I honestly don't know what's going on. Then Korkmaz is still here. I know it's not as simple as cutting Korkmaz, but at this point, in that Jalen McDaniels, Matisse Thybulle deal, I believe the Hornets snuck in Svi Mykhailiuk and dumped his contract. If they can do that, I don't give a shit. Add a second-round pick and dump Furkan, because his contract is potentially the reason why we couldn't get a Jalen McDaniels. I mean, couldn't bring back a Jalen McDaniels, and now potentially a Paul Reed. So just cut your losses at this point. But at this point, I just don't understand what's going on with this team. Like, what direction are we trying to go in? Are we actually trying to get better? Or are we just trying to just regress? Like, I don't understand what direction Daryl was going in. It's frustrating me because you're getting good quality bench pieces, but letting them go for nothing. Yeah, I can't lie, this has been a bit of a rant video. I'm more confused if anything because, again, I understand not bringing back Paul Reed because of the financial issues, cool. But the point is that you're not replacing him. And at the same time, the reason why you're in this situation is because of previous bad roster moves. Like, PJ Tucker, Daniel House, I like Daniel House, by the way, are the reasons why guys like Paul Reed, Jalen McDaniels can't be back. This is just getting a bit frustrating. Seeing my team just make no moves, get worse while other teams are getting better, it's just pissing me off, I can't lie. But if I'm being honest, that's all I got for this video today. In the comment section down below, let me know if you guys agree with me, disagree. If you guys somehow understand what Daryl was doing, put it in the comment section down below, because me personally, I don't have a fucking clue. I'm not gonna lie. And next season I'm dreading because it could really go south. With this James Harden thing still in limbo as well, we don't know what's going on there. Because in my opinion, I feel like deep down, Daryl was asking for a ridiculous asking price because he wants James to return. But we've seen that story before. If James doesn't want to be there, he's not going to move. As it is, he can barely move. So you want a James Harden who's disgruntled, going to find the fat suit metaphorically, not be given 100% defensively, even though he barely does sometimes, at most times, sorry. That's going to be more of a negative to your team. So Daryl, just make the right thing for the team. I don't care about your friendship with James. Well done for not paying him a 4-year max, cool, but now move on. It's done. But, man, I'm frustrated. I'm going to end this video now. Stay blessed, my people.